Female alien court orders human soldier to mate with newly adult females. Ethan Brooks stood on the strange, glowing landing platform, looking up at the towering shapes around him. The alien world was nothing like Earth. The sky had two suns, one pale blue and the other orange. Strange clouds twisted across the sky, and the air smelled sharp and metallic. Around him, alien guards with smooth, greenish skin moved silently. They did not speak but watched his every move. Ethan felt a shiver of unease. He had fought in many battles on human worlds, but this place was different. Here, the rules were not written in words, they were in life itself. He had been captured a week ago during a scout mission. His small ship had been caught in the alien patrols, and he had no choice but to surrender. The aliens had not harmed him, not really. They gave him food and shelter, but everything felt like a test. Every moment was watched. Today, they told him, he would meet the council. Ethan did not know what to expect. He only knew humans respected laws and reason, not strange rituals or traditions. He could only hope they would understand him. The platform was huge, made of a material that glimmered in the light. Bridges stretched across it, and in the distance a city rose unlike any city on Earth. Buildings looked alive. They twisted and moved slightly as if breathing. The air shimmered with energy, and strange sounds pulsed around him. Ethan had seen alien worlds before, but this one was beyond imagination. A guard motioned for him to follow. Ethan obeyed, walking carefully. He did not know if running would help or only make things worse. The guard led him into a massive hall. It was open on all sides, but at the far end sat a group of alien figures on tall thrones. Their skin was pale green, and their eyes were large and bright. Each moved slightly, as if aware of everything in the room at once. Ethan realized that this was the council. They did not look angry or happy. They looked curious, as if studying a new kind of insect. Ethan stopped in front of them. The leader, a tall female with a glowing blue mark on her forehead, leaned forward. She spoke, but her voice was not a sound. It appeared in his mind, clear and direct. "Human soldier, you are here to serve the court. You will aid our species in survival." Ethan swallowed. He had not expected this. "I don't understand," he said. His voice sounded small in the huge hall. "Serve you? How?" "I am a soldier, yes, but I am not a tool." The alien leader's eyes seemed to pierce him. "You are more than a tool. You are strong. You are human. Our males are weak. They cannot protect or continue our line. You will be bonded to our newly adult females to ensure our survival." Ethan felt his heart pound. He had fought aliens before, and he had faced death many times, but he had never been asked to do something like this. He took a deep breath, trying to control his fear. "I'm not sure I can do that. On Earth, humans, we believe in choice. You can't force someone or me to do something like that." There was a pause. Ethan realized he had shocked them. The council had never met a species that refused orders for moral reasons. They studied him silently, their large eyes fixed on him. Then another voice spoke in his mind. This one was softer, almost musical. "You are brave, human. You value choice. That is different." Before Ethan could respond, the leader continued. "The court does not harm you. You are honored. You will live. But the law is clear. Our species depends on your bond." Ethan shook his head. "I understand your problem. Your species may need help, but I cannot break my principles. Humans never force others. I can help in other ways, training, protection, diplomacy, but not in that." The council murmured among themselves. Ethan could feel their thoughts brushing against his mind. They were confused. They had never had someone speak like this before. Usually, other species simply obeyed. He realized something. He was in a moment that could change everything about how they saw humans. A smaller figure approached. She was one of the females, young but not children, with smooth green skin and golden eyes. She studied him with curiosity. "You are different from our males," she said. "They obey without thought, you think. That is strange, but it is interesting." Ethan nodded carefully. I try to do what is right. Sometimes right is not the easiest way. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to help everyone." The young female tilted her head. "Perhaps you could help us in a different way. Our society has rules, but they are old. Maybe new ideas, human ideas, could make us stronger." Ethan smiled faintly. He could see a way to survive and also respect his principles. "If you let me speak to your females, I can show them how humans live, how we make decisions, how we protect each other, how we choose partners. No one is forced. Everyone decides for themselves." The council looked at each other. They had never heard of such a thing. Usually, survival meant obeying law without question. But these humans, they had morals, they had freedom. One of the older matriarchs leaned forward, her eyes bright. "You may try, human, we will watch. If you fail, the court will decide again." Ethan nodded. He felt a weight lifted. He had been given a chance not just to survive but to teach them something new. He realized that his mission had changed. It was no longer only about returning to Earth. Now it was about showing these aliens that strength and choice could go together. Over the next few days, Ethan was shown the young females. Each had her own personality. Some were curious, some cautious, some proud. He spoke with them one by one, sharing simple ideas about respect and choice. They listened with wide eyes. It was not easy. Some were confused, some resisted. But slowly, a few began to smile when they understood that they could decide for themselves. One evening he spoke with the first female he had met. Her name was Luma. She had golden eyes and a quiet voice. "Human," she said, "I have never thought like this. I thought survival was law, law was survival, but you make me feel I can choose." Ethan nodded. "You can. Choice makes life stronger, not weaker. A bond chosen is stronger than a bond forced. That is true for humans, and I think it can be true for you too." Luma looked at him, and for the first time, Ethan saw hope in her eyes. Hope that she could have a life where she was not just a duty or a number in a system. Hope that she could be herself. The council watched quietly from a distance. They did not understand everything Ethan was teaching, but they saw the change in their young females. They were not just obeying, they were thinking, questioning, learning. That alone was a small victory. Ethan realized that this world was dangerous, but it could also be beautiful. If he could survive and teach, he could make a difference not by fighting but by showing the aliens a new way to be strong. Strength did not have to be only physical. It could be moral. It could be in ideas. The first part of his mission was clear: survive, learn, and teach. He would not break his principles. And maybe, just maybe, he could change this world, one young female at a time. Night came with the two suns setting on the horizon. Ethan stood on the balcony of his quarters, looking out over the glowing city. The buildings shimmered like living crystals, the streets glowed softly, and in the distance, the council towers rose, tall and silent. He felt small, but he did not feel powerless. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they had survived. Perhaps this alien world could be another place where human courage and wisdom would matter. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool air. Tomorrow, he would meet more of the young females. He would teach, he would listen, and he would show that choice and respect could be stronger than fear and law. And somewhere deep in his heart, he knew that this was not only about survival, it was about hope. Ethan woke early the next day, the two suns already casting long shadows over the strange city. The air smelled metallic, with a faint sweetness he could not identify. He dressed quickly and went to the meeting hall, where the council had ordered him to meet the newly adult females again. He felt nervous. Each time he spoke with them, he had to balance respect for their laws with his own human values. It was not easy, but he understood that this was his mission. Survival, yes, but also teaching, showing them a new way. The hall was large but smaller than the council chamber. The walls shimmered softly, as if breathing. Several young females waited for him. Luma was among them, her golden eyes bright and curious. Others looked at him with varying expressions. some cautious, some excited, some unsure. Ethan felt a moment of tension. He had never taught aliens before, let alone in a world where the court controlled every aspect of life. He walked forward slowly. "Good morning," he said. "I hope you slept well. Today I want to talk about choice, about what it means to decide for yourself. Not what the law says, not what tradition says, but what you feel is right." The young females exchanged glances. One of them, a tall girl with pale green skin and amber eyes, tilted her head. "Why would we need choice? We obey the court. It keeps us alive." Ethan nodded. "I understand that. I respect survival. But obeying without thought is not always strength. Humans survive not just by strength, but by making choices together, by listening to each other, and by respecting each other." Luma stepped forward. "You mean we can choose who we bond with?" "Yes," Ethan said gently. "Bonding is important. It can be strong and lasting, but only if both people want it. If someone is forced, it is weak. If both choose, it is strong. That is how humans do it." A murmur passed through the group. The tall girl looked skeptical. "And if we choose someone we do not like, or someone we fear?" "Then you have the right to say no," Ethan said firmly. "You do not have to do anything you do not want. Humans fight to protect that right because it keeps us free and strong. Choice makes the bond real. Force only breaks it." Some of the young females nodded slowly, as if understanding something new for the first time. Luma's eyes sparkled. "I think I understand. To be strong, we need to want it, not be told. That is different," Ethan smiled. "Yes, it is different, but sometimes different is better." The tall girl frowned but did not speak. Ethan realized she was thinking deeply. He did not push. He knew that understanding could not be rushed. Forcing thoughts on them would defeat the whole purpose. After the meeting, a guard approached Ethan. "The council wishes to speak with you," it said. Ethan followed silently. The council chamber was quieter than before. The matriarchs watched him carefully, their eyes reflecting a strange mixture of curiosity and suspicion. The leader spoke first. "Human soldier, you teach our young. That is unexpected. They are thinking, questioning, even choosing. This was not the court's intention." "I am not trying to break your laws," Ethan said. "I am only showing them another way to survive. Humans survive because we think, because we choose, because we protect each other. Your young females are strong. They deserve the right to choose. That is my gift to them." Another matriarch leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "You influence them too much. You weaken the law. If they do not follow the court, our species may be at risk." Ethan shook his head. "You are already strong. Your females are smart. Strength is not only about obeying law. Strength is about knowing right from wrong and making the right choice. You will be stronger if they understand that." There was silence. Ethan realized they were thinking hard. They had never seen a species argue like this. Usually, other beings obeyed or fought. Humans talked, and their words had power. Later, Ethan returned to the young females. He noticed that some of them were practicing small rituals, something he did not fully understand. It seemed like a test of courage, a tradition of their people. "Do you do this for the court?" he asked gently. "Yes," Luma said. "It shows we are ready to serve, but now I see it differently. Maybe it shows we can decide too." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. Rituals can be important, but they do not have to take away choice. You can honor tradition and still decide for yourself." The young females began asking questions. "Human, if we choose someone, can we change our minds?" one asked. "Yes," Ethan said. "Humans believe in learning. If you find that a choice does not feel right, you can change it. That is not weakness, it is wisdom." A quiet smile spread across Luma's face. "I like that, it makes me feel free." The tall girl, who had been skeptical before, spoke finally. "Human, you say choice is strength, but what if our males resist?" Ethan considered carefully. "Then you protect each other. Humans do not fight alone, we fight together. Strength comes in many forms, physical, mental, and moral. If you support each other, you will be stronger than any law can make you." The girls looked at each other. Something in their expressions had changed. Ethan could see curiosity replacing fear and excitement replacing doubt. Meanwhile, the council observed from a distance. They had not interfered, but their eyes followed every word. They were confused. They had expected fear, obedience, or confusion. Instead, they saw understanding, respect, and growth. This human, this single soldier, was changing their society. The next day, Ethan was called back to the council. "You influence them too much," the leader said. "They speak to each other differently. They question. They do not obey. This is unexpected." Ethan met her gaze. "I am not trying to disobey. I am only showing them what humans do. They are smart. They can think for themselves. That is not weakness. That is strength. You cannot make a species strong by forcing it. You make it strong by letting it grow." The council murmured. One of the matriarchs, older than the rest, spoke softly. "Perhaps, human soldier, your way has merit. We fear change, but perhaps change is survival." Ethan felt a small hope. He realized he had already won something. Not their full trust yet, but the first seed. The council was beginning to listen, even if slowly. That evening, Ethan returned to the young females. They gathered around him as the sun set. Their skin glowed softly in the light. "Human," Luma said, "we feel different. Before I thought our lives were only duty. Now I feel we can choose. We can decide for ourselves. It is strange but good." "Yes," Ethan said, "it is good. Choice gives life meaning. Without it, life is only survival. With it, life is strength." Another girl with soft blue eyes spoke hesitantly. "And if we choose not to bond at all," Ethan smiled gently, "then you live as you wish. That is also strong. Humans believe every being has the right to choose. That is how we grow. That is how we survive." The young females nodded slowly. Some smiled, some looked thoughtful, but all seemed calmer than before. Ethan realized that he was doing more than teaching. He was changing how they saw their own lives. The next days passed with small lessons, conversations, and moments of laughter. Ethan taught them games humans played to build trust. They learned about teamwork, communication, and respect. Slowly, the fear of the law and the court began to soften. The young females started to see themselves not only as subjects of tradition, but as individuals with strength and choice. The council continued to observe, sometimes with suspicion, sometimes with curiosity. Ethan knew that every day was a test. If he failed, they could force obedience. If he succeeded, he might help the aliens grow into a stronger, wiser society. One night, as the two suns set, Ethan stood on the balcony again. He thought of Earth, of his home, and of the values humans carried. Strength without respect, he knew, was nothing. Survival without choice was slavery. And he realized that even here, on a distant world with strange laws and towering aliens, human ideas could survive and even thrive. Tomorrow, he would continue teaching. He would continue showing that choice and respect could coexist with duty and survival. He did not know what the council would decide, but he knew one thing: he had started a change. And once that change began, it could not be stopped easily. Ethan smiled faintly. The young females were learning. The council was watching. And he, a single human soldier, was making a difference. Not with weapons, not with force, but with ideas. Ethan woke to the soft glow of the two suns. He felt a quiet determination. Each day he spent here, he understood more about the aliens' world, their laws, and their fears. But he also understood something else. The young females were beginning to think for themselves. That was a change that could not be ignored. Today he would meet them again, not as a soldier under orders, but as a teacher and friend. When he entered the hall, the young females were waiting. Luma smiled at him, her golden eyes bright. The tall, skeptical girl was there too, her amber eyes softer than before. Others watched him quietly, some curious, some unsure. Ethan took a deep breath. "Good morning," he said. "Today, we will talk about choices in life, about what it means to make your own decisions, not just follow tradition or law." One of the girls, a quiet one with pale green skin and silver eyes, tilted her head. Human, what if our choice is wrong? What if we make a mistake? Ethan nodded. Mistakes happen to everyone. Humans make mistakes every day. But mistakes are not weakness. Mistakes are learning. If you choose and make a mistake, you learn and become stronger. If you never choose, you never grow. The girls looked thoughtful. Luma stepped forward. So, even if we choose and it is hard, it can make us stronger. Yes, Ethan said gently. The right choice is not always easy. Strength is in facing what is hard, not in following orders blindly. The tall girl spoke next. Human, you teach us courage, but what if the court does not allow our choices? What if they punish us? Ethan's expression grew serious. Then you must be careful. Change cannot happen quickly, but you can start small. You can support each other. And if you show the court that your choices do not harm anyone, they may begin to understand. Luma nodded slowly. I think I understand. We can choose and still respect the court. We do not need to fight, only show strength in our hearts. The other girls began to nod too. They whispered to each other, sharing thoughts. For the first time they spoke openly, not just obeying the rules. Ethan listened, impressed. They were learning quickly, but it was their own understanding, not his words alone. After the morning meeting, Ethan was called to the council. The matriarch's eyes were sharp, their expressions unreadable. Human soldier, the leader said, we observe your lessons. They speak and question more than before. This was not the court's intention. You influence our females too much. Ethan met her gaze steadily. I am not trying to influence them for my benefit. I am showing them what humans do. Humans survive by thinking, by respecting each other, by making choices. Your females are strong. They can learn that too. That will make your species stronger, not weaker. Another matriarch, older than the rest, tilted her head. Perhaps strength is more than obedience. Perhaps your ideas have merit, but you must not interfere with the court's laws. I understand, Ethan said. I do not seek to break your laws, I only teach ideas. The young females may think differently, but they will not disobey. They will decide for themselves. The council remained silent. Ethan knew that every day he stayed here he walked a fine line, but he also knew that the young females were changing. That was the true progress. Later, he returned to the young females. They gathered around him, their eyes bright with curiosity. Human, Luma said, we have spoken to each other. We share ideas. Before, we were afraid to speak. Now it feels good. Ethan smiled. It is good. Communication is strength. You support each other. That makes you strong even against fear or law. The tall girl stepped forward, her expression serious. Human, we want to choose our future, but we do not know if the court will allow it. What should we do? Ethan thought carefully. You start with small choices. Show the court that you can decide without harm. Show them respect, courage, and thoughtfulness. If they see your strength, they may understand. The girls nodded. They began discussing among themselves, quietly planning how they might make small choices, testing their courage and supporting each other. Ethan watched, feeling proud. The court had not forced them. The law had not guided them. Their own strength had begun to grow. The next day, Ethan introduced a new lesson. He asked them to work together to solve a problem. A small machine had been left in the hall, something the council had built to test intelligence. The girls had never touched a machine like this before. Ethan explained its parts simply. Work together, he said. Use your minds, share ideas, listen to each other. Humans survive not by strength alone, but by teamwork. The girls hesitated at first, unsure of each other. Then Luma took the lead. She suggested a small step. The others nodded. Slowly, carefully, they began assembling the machine. Some parts were tricky, but they listened to each other, argued politely, and tried again. Ethan smiled quietly. See, you are learning together. That is real strength. Not fear, not law, but trust, respect, and thoughtfulness. After hours, they completed the task. The machine worked perfectly. The girls cheered softly, their pride evident. They had accomplished something on their own, guided by ideas, not force. When the council watched later, they were silent. The young females had succeeded, but without direct obedience. The matriarchs whispered among themselves. Perhaps the human soldier had shown a better way, but they were unsure. Change was difficult and tradition ran deep. That night, Ethan spoke with Luma privately. "Human, today we felt strong," she said. "Not because the court said so, but because we chose together. This feels different, good different." "Yes," Ethan said, "strength grows when it is chosen, not forced. You will be ready for anything if you remember that." The tall girl joined them quietly. "We understand now. Our choices matter. We are not only subjects. We can decide for ourselves. That is powerful." Ethan nodded. He realized that his work was beginning to bear fruit. The young females were changing. Their thinking, their courage, and their confidence were growing each day. And in turn, the council could not ignore this growth. Over the next week, Ethan continued lessons. They learned simple problem-solving, ways to support each other, and how to communicate clearly. They practiced small decisions, from daily routines to simple leadership tasks. Every success built confidence. Every failure taught patience. One afternoon, the council called Ethan again. "Human soldier," the leader said, "we see the change. It is unexpected. Our females are learning, thinking, and growing. Perhaps your influence is useful. But you must be careful. Too much freedom too quickly can cause chaos." "I understand," Ethan said. "I will guide carefully. They are learning. They are not rebelling. They are thinking. That is strength, not chaos." Another matriarch spoke softly. "Perhaps humans have wisdom we have never seen. Perhaps strength is not only obedience. Perhaps teaching, listening, and trust are as powerful as laws." Ethan felt a quiet satisfaction. He had not only survived, but he had begun to change their thinking. The council was beginning to see a new path, one that valued ideas, choice, and courage. That evening, Ethan walked with the young females on the balcony. The city glowed beneath them, towers shimmering like crystals, and the twin suns dipped toward the horizon. "Human," Luma said, "we feel free, not fully free but stronger than before. Your words give us hope." Ethan smiled. "You are doing this yourselves. I only show the way. True strength comes from inside, not from me or anyone else." The tall girl added quietly, "We will not forget. We will make choices together. We will grow." Ethan looked at the city and then at the council towers. Change was slow, but it had begun. The young females were learning to be strong, and the council was learning that strength could mean more than obedience. He knew the next part of his mission would be harder. The council might resist, fear, or test them. But he also knew this. Once the young females had discovered their own strength, nothing could easily take it away. He took a deep breath. The twin suns were setting, casting a warm glow. He felt hope, real hope. And in this distant alien world, that hope was powerful. Ethan understood that he was not only a soldier anymore. He was a teacher, a guide, and a symbol of human values. Courage, choice, respect, and trust, these were things humans carried across the stars. And here, on this world of strange laws and glowing towers, those values were beginning to take root. The young females were ready to learn more, to test themselves, and to make their own decisions. And Ethan knew that with each lesson, with each choice, they would grow stronger, not just as individuals, but as a society. Change had begun, and nothing could stop it. Ethan woke before dawn, the twin suns just beginning to rise. Today felt different. He sensed tension in the air, a quiet weight he had not noticed before. The council had called for him early. Their eyes always watched, but now it felt sharper, more serious. Something was about to happen, and he did not know if it would be good or dangerous. When he entered the council chamber, he saw the matriarchs gathered in full form. Their pale green skin glowed faintly in the soft light. The leader's blue mark on her forehead shimmered. The other matriarchs leaned forward, their large eyes fixed on him. The young females were not with him this time. He realized that the council wanted a private meeting. "Human soldier," the leader said, her voice calm but firm in his mind. "Your influence grows. The young females speak and think more than before. They test traditions, question laws, and even act without direct orders. This is unexpected. Explain yourself." Ethan took a deep breath. "I do not seek to disobey your laws. I only teach ideas. Humans survive not just by strength, but by thinking, listening, and respecting each other. I show the young females how to work together, make choices, and grow. That is all." The council murmured among themselves. One of the older matriarchs spoke slowly. "Your influence is dangerous. We value obedience. Without it, our laws lose meaning. You may have taught them ideas, but now they choose. That is not the court's plan." Ethan nodded. "I understand your concern. Change is difficult, but what I teach does not harm your people. It makes them stronger, wiser, more able to survive. Strength is not only in obedience. Strength is in courage, choice, and understanding." The leader leaned forward, her piercing eyes fixed on him. "Perhaps, but the court must maintain authority. If the young females continue to choose freely, the law may weaken. You risk chaos." "I do not seek chaos," Ethan said. "I show them respect, teamwork, and thoughtfulness. They choose, yes, but they are learning to follow reason, not fear. That makes them stronger, not weaker." The council remained silent for a long moment. Ethan could feel the weight of their thoughts pressing against his mind. He knew they were debating, struggling with new ideas he had introduced. He waited calmly, knowing that humans survive by patience as much as strength. Then one of the matriarchs, younger and sharper-eyed, spoke. "Human, if your methods succeed, our females may no longer obey. They may decide their own paths, reject our laws, and even influence others. Can your humans truly guide without controlling?" "Yes," Ethan said firmly. "Humans guide with ideas, not force. We teach, explain, and show examples. We do not control. Control only creates fear. True strength comes from choice, courage, and understanding. That is why humans survive. That is what I teach." The council murmured again. The leader tilted her head, thinking, "Perhaps your ideas have merit, but the court is old. Tradition binds us. If we allow too much change, we may destroy what we have built." Ethan nodded. "I respect tradition. I do not ask you to throw it away. I only ask that your young females learn to think, to choose, and to understand. That will make your traditions stronger because they will be chosen, not forced." There was silence again. Ethan felt a small hope. The council was listening. Perhaps slowly they were beginning to see what he had been teaching. After the council meeting, Ethan was led back to the young females. They were waiting anxiously. Luma's golden eyes shone. "Human, what did the council say?" "They are thinking," Ethan said. "They are afraid of change, but they are listening. That is progress. You are learning and the council is noticing." The tall girl, once skeptical, asked, "Do you think they will allow us to choose?" "I cannot say for sure," Ethan admitted. "Change is slow. But you have started something important. You have learned courage, teamwork, and respect. That cannot be taken away. The council may resist, but they cannot erase your growth." Over the next few days, the young females continued practicing their lessons. They worked together on small tasks, learning patience and problem-solving. They shared their thoughts openly, supporting each other. Ethan guided them, reminding them of choice, courage, and understanding. One day, the council sent a message. Ethan was to bring the young females to the central hall. The council wanted to observe them in a formal test, to see if they had learned anything or if they had strayed too far from tradition. Ethan gathered the girls. "Today, the council will watch you," he said. "This is a chance to show what you have learned. Remember, work together, support each other, and make choices wisely. That is strength." The young females nodded. Luma smiled faintly. "We are ready. We will show them what we can do." When they entered the hall, the council's eyes followed every step. The young females stood in a line, calm but focused. Ethan stood beside them, ready to guide if needed, but he knew they must act independently. The leader spoke. "You will be tested." Solve this challenge using your skills, teamwork, and judgment. Success will show the court that you are ready. Failure will remind you of your duty to obey. A complex machine appeared before them, far more advanced than anything they had worked on before. It was a test of intelligence, cooperation, and decision-making. The young females studied it silently. Ethan whispered, "Remember teamwork and choice. You can do this." Luma nodded. "We understand." Slowly, the girls began. They discussed quietly, sharing ideas. Some suggestions were wrong, but they corrected each other respectfully. They tried, failed, and tried again. Ethan watched silently, letting them lead. The tall girl pointed to a section. "This part must connect here, or it will not work," she said. The others agreed and adjusted carefully. Hours passed. The council observed, silent and serious. Ethan could feel their attention, their judgment, their fear of losing control. But he stayed calm. Humans survive pressure, and he would not falter. Finally, the machine hummed to life. It worked perfectly. The young females exchanged quiet smiles, proud of their accomplishment. They had succeeded not through obedience but through choice, teamwork, and careful thinking. The council murmured. The leader leaned forward. "Unexpected, they have succeeded without direct obedience. Their choices were effective." An older matriarch spoke softly. "Perhaps human guidance has merit. Perhaps strength is not only law but also thought, courage, and cooperation." Ethan bowed slightly. "It is not only guidance. It is their own strength. I only show the way." The council was silent. Ethan realized that for the first time they had truly seen the young females as individuals with power, not just subjects of tradition. This was progress. After the test, Ethan spoke with the young females privately. "You did very well," he said. "You solved the challenge together. That is true strength. Remember this feeling. Choice and teamwork make you strong." Luma smiled. "We feel stronger than before. Not because we obeyed, but because we chose. This is new but good." The tall girl nodded. "We will not forget. We will continue to choose and support each other." Ethan looked at the city outside, glowing softly under the twin suns. The council tower stood tall, but he knew change was underway. The young females had begun to grow beyond tradition, and the council could no longer ignore their strength. He understood that the next phase would be harder. Some matriarchs might resist openly. Some might try to reassert control, but the young females were learning, and learning was stronger than fear. That night, Ethan reflected on the past weeks. He had come to this world as a prisoner, ordered to obey. Now he was a teacher, guiding young minds to find courage, choice, and understanding. The aliens were beginning to see that survival was not only about obedience, but also about thinking, learning, and supporting each other. He knew the final challenges were coming. The council would decide soon whether they could accept this change, or if they would attempt to force obedience again. But Ethan was ready. Humans survive not just by strength, but by ideas, patience, and courage. And he would use all of these to protect the young females and show the council that real power came from choice, not fear. Ethan looked out over the glowing city one last time before sleep. The young females were safe, growing, and learning. The council was watching, unsure but curious, and in the quiet, distant hum of the city he felt hope, real hope. The kind humans carry across the stars. Change had begun, and it could not be undone. Ethan woke before the twin suns rose. Today felt heavy, as if the air itself carried tension. The council had summoned him and the young females to the central hall for a final meeting. For weeks, he had guided them, taught them teamwork, choice, and courage. Now the results of their learning would face the council's judgment. The young females gathered quietly. Luma stood beside Ethan, her golden eyes calm but bright. The tall girl, once skeptical, now appeared confident. Others were quieter, but their posture showed strength. Ethan felt pride. They had grown, not because of him alone, but because they had chosen to grow. When they arrived at the hall, the council was waiting. The matriarchs filled the high seats, their eyes fixed and unreadable. Silence fell as the young females stepped forward. Ethan remained beside them, offering quiet support. The leader spoke first. "Human soldier, your influence is clear. The young females act differently than before. They choose, they reason, they work together. This is unexpected. Explain yourself." Ethan bowed slightly. "I do not seek to control. I do not seek to break your laws. I only teach ideas. Humans survive because we think, we choose, and we support each other. The young females have learned this. That is all." One matriarch, older and wise, spoke softly. "They have learned, yes. But the court fears that free choice may weaken tradition. Can strength exist without obedience?" Ethan met her gaze steadily. "True strength is not only obeying rules. True strength comes from courage, understanding, and respect. The young females are strong because they choose. That is not weakness, that is survival, that is wisdom." The council murmured. The leader leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "We see the change, but if we allow this, what of the law, what of the court's authority?" Ethan nodded. "You do not lose authority, you gain respect. The court will still lead, but the young females will follow willingly, not out of fear. That is stronger than any law forced upon them. Choice creates loyalty, trust, and strength. Fear only creates weakness." The matriarchs were silent. Ethan realized that for the first time they were listening without judgment, trying to understand. They had never seen a species that survived not just by law, but by courage and respect. Humans were different, and now they could see it clearly. Luma stepped forward. "Council, we speak for ourselves. We have learned courage, teamwork, and respect. We understand duty, but we also understand choice. That makes us stronger, not weaker." The tall girl added, "We do not reject tradition. We respect it, but we also choose. That is strength. That is what the human soldier taught us." The council murmured again. Some matriarchs leaned forward, studying the young females carefully. They were no longer just subjects. They were thinkers, learners, and individuals. That was new, and it challenged everything the council had known. The leader spoke again, slowly. Perhaps this is a lesson we have not understood. Strength is more than law. Survival is more than obedience. Perhaps humans show us something we needed to learn." Ethan nodded quietly. "Yes, humans survive because we respect choice and courage. That is why I teach it. That is why the young females are stronger. That is why your society can grow without losing its traditions." Another matriarch, older than most, spoke softly. "We have feared change, but perhaps it is necessary. We see now that the young females are capable. They choose, and yet they remain respectful of the court. That is remarkable." The council fell silent. Ethan could feel the tension easing. The fear of losing control was slowly replaced by understanding. The young females had proven their strength, not by obeying blindly, but by thinking, learning, and supporting each other. Luma spoke again. "We thank the council for allowing us to learn. We thank the human soldier for showing us courage, choice, and understanding. We are stronger because of it." The council remained quiet for a long moment. Then the leader spoke, her voice calm but firm. "Human soldier, you have shown wisdom. You have guided our young without forcing them. You have proven that strength can exist with choice, not only obedience. For this, we honor you." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. Honor from the council was rare, and he had earned it not with force or weapons but with ideas and patience. He bowed. "Thank you. I only show what humans value. You have allowed your young to grow. That is the true success." The leader continued. "We decree that the young females may continue to learn, choose, and support each other. They may form bonds or partnerships when they decide. The court will no longer enforce these choices. We recognize that respect and courage create true strength." The young females gasped softly. They had won not just freedom but respect. They had proven that growth and choice were more powerful than fear. Luma looked at Ethan, her eyes shining. "We have succeeded because of you." Ethan shook his head. "No, you succeeded because of yourselves. I only showed the way. You made the choices. You found the courage. That is yours." The council watched quietly. The matriarchs had learned a lesson themselves. Authority and respect were stronger when combined with choice, understanding, and courage. The young females were no longer simply followers. They were leaders of their own future. Ethan spent the next few days with them, teaching small lessons and helping them practice decision-making, problem-solving, and cooperation. Each day, they grew more confident, more capable, and more independent. The council observed, often quietly, sometimes with curiosity, but never again with fear. One evening, Ethan stood on the balcony with the young females. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows across the glowing city. Luma spoke softly. "Human, we feel stronger than ever, not because we obeyed, but because we chose. That is freedom, and it is good." "Yes," Ethan said, "freedom with responsibility is strength. Choice with respect is power. You have learned well. That is why humans survive, and that is why you will thrive." The tall girl, once skeptical, smiled. "We understand now. We can follow the court and still choose. We can honor tradition and grow. That is courage." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. You are stronger than any law. You are wiser than any rule. That is true power." The council called him one final time. They expressed their gratitude, their honor, and their recognition. They admitted that human ideas had taught them new ways to see strength, leadership, and survival. They promised to continue reforming their laws, to honor choice alongside tradition, and to allow the young females to grow as individuals. Ethan realized that his mission was complete. He had come as a prisoner ordered to obey, but he left as a teacher, a guide, and a symbol of human values. Humans survived not just by strength, weapons, or law, but by courage, choice, understanding, and respect. And in this distant alien world, those values had taken root. The young females gathered around him. Luma smiled. "Human, we will not forget what you taught us. We will continue to grow, to choose, and to be strong." Ethan smiled back. "And you will inspire others. That is the true reward. You are ready for the future. The council has seen it, the world has seen it, and you will thrive because of it." As the sun set completely, the city glowed softly beneath them. The towers of the council reflected the fading light. Ethan felt a deep sense of peace. The young females had grown. The council had learned, and he had proven that humans could make a difference not with force but with values. He knew that one day he would return to Earth, but the lessons he had shared would remain on this alien world. Courage, choice, teamwork, respect, and understanding, they were stronger than law or fear, and they had changed a society forever. Ethan watched the stars appear in the alien sky. He felt hope, real hope. Humans carried it across the galaxy, not with weapons but with ideas. And here on this distant world, that hope had planted a seed that would grow for generations. The young female stood beside him, proud, confident, and free. The council had acknowledged their strength, their courage, and their wisdom. And Ethan knew that even though his time here was ending, the change he had helped start would continue. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool, metallic air. For the first time, he felt truly at peace in this alien world. The mission was complete. The young females were ready. The council had learned, and humanity's values had triumphed without a single battle. As the night deepened and the twin moons rose, Ethan smiled. Change had come, strength had grown, and the future for both humans and this alien society was brighter than ever.